The whole Bronny James thing has been super polarizing. Ever since the Lakers picked him with their 55th pick, people have either been rooting for him and wanting to see him make history alongside Bron as the first father-son duo to play together in the NBA, or they have been heavily criticizing him for essentially getting a handout and not earning his spot in the league. For those people, they've really wanted it to be known that Bronny James is the face of nepotism, which at this point, I think that we'd all be lying to ourselves if we said that LeBron James didn't play a large part in Bronny James ending up on the Lakers. You know it's bad when reporters like Michelle Beadle, who have worked for several sports media outlets including ESPN and The Athletic, aren't biting their tongue and calling the whole thing manufactured. And no exaggeration, she really said this with her whole heart. She'd say that if this isn't manufactured, then I don't know what the word manufactured means. But again, I am not impressed, and I thought that this whole thing was so ridiculous. Fans saying something like this is one thing, but it has to sting differently when it comes from members of the media. It also has to sting differently when it's your own former teammates saying that something just isn't right with this whole ordeal. Remember that DeMarcus Cousins was questioning the seriousness of the entire Lakers organization for employing Bronny? I know that Big Cuz has always kept it real, but even I didn't expect him to come out and say something like this. I think that we could all use a friend like Big Cuz in our corner. Somebody that's going to tell us what we need to hear and not necessarily what we want to hear. So with Bronny having a string of debuts, first in the NBA and then in the G League, he would get the golden opportunity to silence some of that noise that has only been growing louder and louder. But first, with things heating up in the NFL and the NBA's in-season tournament, we are getting in on the action with the best way to play daily fantasy, Underdog. Submitting a lineup is super easy. You can win big money, and it's a great way to have some extra fun while watching the games. Just pick more or less on the projection available for your favorite players 2 to 8 times, and then submit your lineup. And on Underdog, you can submit a lineup for literally just $1. Now when you guys click the link in the description to sign up, make sure to use my code COOP, because with code COOP, you can get up to $1,000 in bonus cash along with a free pick. And it's also a great way to support the channel. Thank you, Underdog, for the sponsor. So far, Bronny's career has been super predictable, and I don't mean that as a bad thing. I've said this a lot, but anybody that expected Bronny to come into the league and make an impact right away, they were always going to be disappointed. Despite other teams having interest in him and Bron saying things like wherever he goes, I'm going, there's a reason that Bronny James was the 55th pick in last year's NBA draft, despite his father being LeBron James. And that's because Bronny was never NBA ready. Again, Bronny was always going to be a project for whoever drafted him. So let's talk about Bronny's NBA debut. His debut would come in the Lakers season opener against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and in all honesty, his debut was very underwhelming. He played 3 minutes and didn't score a basket, but that didn't matter because him and Bron would make history. Who cares about a basket when you're making history with your dad? This game would be a homecoming for Bronny, hence the loud chants for Bronny from the crowd.
And that's what I like about him. He tells you what he's going to do and he sticks with it.
Mitchell has 22. Connects down the lane. He puts it up and in and draws the foul. Okoro commits the personal.
The crowd wanted Bronny, and thanks to the Lakers getting blown out, Bronny is exactly what they got. Bronny would check in with 5:16 left in the game, and of course, the crowd went crazy every time this man touched the ball. It was only right that this game Bronny would score his first basket. His first basket would come on a contested midi with about 2:06 remaining in the game. I just know that Mike D'Antoni saw this shot and instantly turned his TV off. I want my team to personally play to the analytics, but when it comes to other teams, long live the mid-range, man. This shot would be a cool moment for Bronny and the crowd, but that's exactly what these short stints of mostly meaningless NBA action have been producing for Bronny. moments. For Bronny to have any shot at developing into a decent pro, he needs more than just a few meaningless minutes when the game is already out of reach. The good thing is that the Lakers knew this upon drafting him, which is why that the plan for Bronny was always to have him split time between the G League and the NBA. This plan would be something that Bron, JJ, and Pelinka had all discussed. Guys, Bron isn't beating those late GM allegations anytime soon, is he? For a lot of people, including Brian Windhorst, this is the breaking point for them for this whole Bronny James situation. To quote Brian, he's only going to play in South Bay Lakers home games, he's only going to kind of be a part-time G League player, and he's not getting on United Airlines to fly to these road games. I know he's getting somewhat special treatment and nepotism. That's fine. Honestly, I don't care. Like I said, it's normal. Now, I think it's actually detrimental to him. I don't like that. I don't know whose idea it was, but obviously, the Lakers are fine with it. They're doing it. On this particular instance, I think that it's gone too far, and I don't think that it benefits Bronny. I don't think that it benefits the South Bay Lakers, and I don't even think that it benefits LeBron at this point. Guys, you know me. If I see a stinky mess, I'm going to call it a stinky mess, and this whole situation is one giant stinky mess. This is a distraction for a team that definitely doesn't need any at this moment in time. November 7th, Shams would announce that the Lakers were assigning Bronny to their G League affiliate, where he'd debut against Salt Lake City before rejoining the roster. Bronny's debut would be the most highly anticipated debut in the history of the G League. For his debut, he would help to sell out an arena for a team who ranked dead last in attendance just 2 seasons ago. Bronny selling out his debut was nothing short of amazing for the Lakers. Like it or not, the NBA is a business, and for a lot of clubs, the name of the game is to make as much money as possible, as easy as possible. However, while Bronny is good for business, he would be great for business if he were actually able to develop into a solid NBA player. And as things stand, Bronny has a long ways to go, as right now, this man isn't even dominating the G League. In Bronny's G League debut, he wouldn't take long to get on the board. With the floor spaced and him having the entire right side of the floor isolated, he'd go right at his defender as he rose up and knocked down the in-rhythm mid-range pull-up, which has sort of been his go-to move. When I saw this shot fall, I thought that he was about to have a big night. Unfortunately for Bronny, this field goal wouldn't be a sign of things to come. His only other field goal would be a heavily contested floater after a screen and roll. He made the floater, but it was the wrong read. The roller was wide open on the roll, and a pocket pass there or an alley-oop would have definitely been the better play. I'm not trying to sound like Paul George when he got gamed by Damian Lillard in the playoffs, but as a point guard, Bronny has to make that pass. Going 2 of 9 from the field, Bronny would finish this game with just 6 points, and he'd also have 5 turnovers as he somehow found a way to be the only starter with a negative plus-minus in what was a 14-point win. He was only -1, but all of the other starters were plus double digits. It wasn't all bad for Bronny though. This game, he did showcase some court vision on a few passes that he made. My favorite pass from this game was this alley-oop that he threw to Kyler Kelly. On this one, he wouldn't miss him, but instead hit him in stride for the easy flush. In this forgettable game for Bronny, he'd also make some nice defensive plays. Overall, he'd finish this game with 6 points, 5 turnovers, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block. Consistent performances like this one are exactly why there has been so much criticism about Bronny, because these aren't anything new. He averaged just 4.8 points per game on 36.6% shooting his 1 year at USC. He averaged just 8.8 points per game on 35% shooting in the Summer League. And then in the preseason, he'd average 4.2 points on 29.7% from the field. Occasionally, he does have a nice game, but ever since becoming a McDonald's All-American, Bronny has struggled more than he has been good. And while I love that he's getting the opportunity that he is to grow and make as many mistakes as possible, especially after what he went through with him suffering cardiac arrest, I just wish that everybody got the same opportunity, because with as much talent as there is in the league, there's still a ton of talent that never got their shot to prove themselves as well. The talent for basketball is at an all-time high. The NBA really needs to hurry up with this expansion stuff. So while Bronny didn't look too good in his debut, his undrafted teammate Quincy Olivari did, and D'Lo would agree, saying that he honestly looked like he was too good to be out there. Respectfully. 28 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. That's what he'd have in his debut. Guys, Olivari is 6'3". He is a 6'3" flame-throwing guard, and look, I know it's just the G League, but posting these numbers at 6'3" is not easy to do. If somebody posted these numbers at LA Fitness, I would be impressed. There are first-round picks who don't have games like this in the G League, and Olivari is doing it as a 6'3" undrafted player. The Lakers' second-round pick from 2022, Maxwell Lewis, would also have a good game, scoring 27. But to take things back to Bronny, it's only up from here. Bronny is still only 20, has the tools, and as we know, will get every opportunity to get better. I am actually looking forward to seeing the Lakers letting him go full Russell Westbrook in the G League as they work on developing his game, because with Bronny's archetype, this should produce some really fun stat lines, both good and bad. You already know that we're going to be there to break those stat lines down, so be sure to subscribe so that you guys don't miss those videos or any other video of mine for that matter. Anyways guys, there's some more going on in the basketball world right now that I need to be covering. Clicking the video on the screen right now and using code COOP for Underdog are both great ways to support this channel. I'm GetLikeCoop, bringing you guys the scoop until our next upload.